Hey y'all, Myri here again. Thank you for being here to listen to me ramble about whatever the heck happens to be on my mind today. I do have a little bit of a plan, but not a great or very fleshed out plan, so we'll see if it goes anywhere or if it's any good. I have tried I have derailed myself a few times and had to restart. So so far not so great. We'll see how it goes from here on out. But yeah, I do apologize if you hear the clicking in the background. I am trying to multitask, as I often do when I do these recordings. So, yes. So the last recording that I did seemed to get a few looks, at least a few clicks, whatever the right word is, some views, some listens, I don't know. I struggle with the right terminology for this stuff because technically it's views, but I don't do videos really. I just do audio recordings with maybe video in the background, but most often it's just a photo in the background of some kind. So, anyway, the last one that I did seemed to get some traction, so maybe that is a topic people are interested in, and maybe that's something I should talk about a little bit more. I have in the past kind of talked about coming out to my parents, so I thought I would elaborate on that a little bit. Not necessarily coming out to my parents exactly, but more of trying to figure out my own queer identity through time as time goes on. So I was raised in a very conservative family and had no concept of anything beyond straight and gay. And because I was raised in a conservative family, it was okay, straight equals good and gay equals bad. Not to my parents' credit, I don't think they ever tried to tell us that gay people were bad, but they used the really fun conservative who's trying to pretend. Oh, that's a mean way of saying it. Conservative people trying to act like they are not hating other people. They used the fun phrasing in those ways of the gay lifestyle is bad, but we don't hate gay people, we just dislike their lifestyle choices, which in my opinion is the same thing. You're still saying that this is bad and you're bad if you do it. You're saying if you make this choice, which is not a choice, but whatever, if you make the choice to be this way, then that is a bad choice, and you're making a bad choice, and you're going to hell because of the choice you're making, etc. and so forth. So that's what I was raised with, and again, I didn't have any context beyond gay and straight. I think that's, probably true for a lot of people who grew up in conservative households. So, that's not very shocking. Why would there be more than that? I mean, also, the time frame probably makes a difference because it was, I grew up in the 90s, so the terminology surrounding queerness was a lot more limited, at least on a broad scale. It was a lot more limited. It wasn't talked about as much, in as much detail. Outside of queer spaces, I don't know what queer spaces back then were like because I wasn't part of them. So outside of queer spaces definitely wasn't discussed, pretty much at all as far as I know. So, so when I did come out, I don't know how, I guess I realized that's a hard thing to describe. It's sort of if you ask a straight person how they realize they're straight, how would they have an answer for that? Sort of the same thing. I just knew that I was not really into most guys and was into some girls. Realistically, I think, like, in the back of my mind, I knew it was way more detailed than that. I wasn't really into much of anyone. So, that was a thing, but I knew that normal was being interested in guys. Quote unquote normal. And quote unquote abnormal was being into girls. And I knew I felt abnormal, quote unquote abnormal. I mean, it felt normal for me, but I did not feel like I did not feel like I, like, fit in, really, for various reasons, but that was one of the reasons. So, I came out to my parents. I took them out to dinner, because then we're in a space where, we're in a space surrounded by other people, so theoretically they couldn't have a terrible reaction. Or at least that's what my high school brain thought. I was, I think, I want to say I was a senior in high school. I don't really remember exactly how old I was. That's an assumption. Could be a faulty assumption, but that is the assumption I am running under right now. So I took them out to dinner, and I came out to them, and they did not have the greatest reaction. I came out as a lesbian because, again, did not know there were any differences. I didn't know there was anything beyond straight and gay, so I was like, well, since I don't feel like I am doing the normal thing, I guess I must be gay. And so I came out to them, and ta-da, it was a thing. I don't remember, like, as what I remember about their reactions was that my mom cried, which is wonderful, just what you want. And my dad said that he wondered what he did wrong. So, great reactions from my parents. Very mature, very adult. It's really, that's really the reaction you want, right, when you come out. So it was not the best experience, but I don't know what else I expected, I guess. So, not the best reactions. I think coming out to them in a public space was probably very smart, because they couldn't scream at me without making a scene. They couldn't, have worse reactions than that, so that was probably smart. Whether or not, I mean, it was never going to be ideal. I don't know what I expected, but it was not that. So that was a negative experience. I also came out, I should backtrack. I came out to my brother first. Actually, I think my sister-in-law, who is not my sister-in-law anymore, or won't be because my brother is getting divorced from her. But anyway, I came out to her first because her mom is gay. Or was gay. Her mom is no longer with us, but her mom was gay, so I was like, well, she will be supportive. So I came out to her first, and then I came out to my brother, and then I came out to my sister, and then I came out to my parents. Coming out to my siblings was uneventful, which is why I don't usually think about it or talk about it. It was uneventful, which is good. Like, it was uneventful in a great way. In a, like, they get it and they aren't gonna say anything bad or mean to me about it kind of way. So, it was all good. Hurrah. That was great. They were supportive, and they were just like, cool, you do you, that's great, whatever. And that was awesome. And I greatly appreciated that from them. Then coming out to my parents was not so great, however, at least they, like, it could have been worse. They didn't physically abuse me about it. They didn't kick me out of the house. or anything like that. So, hurrah. I am pretty sure they expected me to change my mind at some point. I am pretty sure they thought it was just a phase that I was going to get over and, like, wasn't gonna be a thing that would last forever. Unfortunately for them, that's not how this works. um, so yeah. Then I started trying to get involved in the queer community in the city I lived in. They used to have, like, I want to call it, like, dances. I don't remember exactly, because I only went a few times, but I knew a couple of gay men in that city, and like I tried to go to stuff with them on occasion, and it just, I don't know, I just never really felt like I never felt like I belonged. I never felt like I was in a place I was supposed to be. And maybe I should have taken that as a clue that I wasn't a lesbian. But I didn't, because I didn't know any better. Then when I got to college, so my first 2 years of college, I went to a private Catholic school. Why did I do that? I don't know. It was close to where I lived. So, that was literally my reason, was that it was close, and I didn't even want to go to college, so I was dumb. It was not a smart choice. I really should not have gone to that school. It got me, like, I don't feel like I got anything out of going to that school over a cheaper school. So I don't know why I did it, other than just being young and dumb. And I don't know, in hindsight, it was really dumb. But anyway, after, like, I just was, again, not loving where I was going to school. I was still trying to be involved in, the queer community where I lived, and it wasn't working out, pretty much at all. And I eventually, like, realized, so my sister started college a year after me, and she went to a different school, and she seemed like she was having a lot of fun and making a lot of friends, and I was like, well, maybe I should transfer there instead. I mean, there's no reason for me to be going to this expensive school, so why am I doing it? Yeah. So I transferred, and I got a little tiny bit more involved in the queer community there, which is in the city I currently live in. I'm again still not, like, I was not very involved at the time, but I did start, like, exploring more about, like, just doing research, I guess, and looking stuff up a bit more and trying to understand more about my own identity and my own stuff. Because I was, like, working under the assumption that I was a lesbian, because, again, didn't have any, like, any other context or anything like that. However, I started having feelings for a couple of friends. There was, like, one specific friend I started having feelings for, and not only was that, like, shocking because I didn't really have feelings for anyone for a long time, but it was also shocking because it was a guy friend. And I was just kind of like, well, that's weird. Does that mean I'm this other thing I have recently, like, learned about called bisexual? Is that a thing that I am? Or, like, I don't know. It's just weird. So I asked him out, and we dated for a little while. He was not really prepared to be in a relationship. And what I say by that, or what I mean when I say that, is that I think he just kind of wanted to keep doing what we were already doing and be, like, just being friends and hanging out with our other friends. And he was not interested or interested in or prepared to hang out alone. Which sounds really funny. He also, like, he just was not mature enough to. We've talked about this since we broke up, so. So I am, like, this is what I do know. He was not, like, mature enough to be willing to spend time with just one other person. He wasn't mature enough to realize that, like, if you are in a romantic relationship with people, you have to spend time with them and sometimes do what they want and not necessarily just what you want all the time. And you have to, like, yeah. Spend time, just, that was the biggest thing, was, you know, you gotta spend time with them alone. You gotta get to know them alone outside of your friend group. And he was not mature enough for that. So, we did not date for very long. We tried. It was a thing. But anyway, the whole thing is that kind of, like, made me realize maybe I am actually not a lesbian. Maybe there is more I have to explore and more I have to look into. So I started getting more involved and started doing a lot more research, and I don't remember exactly how I came across like, various what is the word I am looking for? My brain doesn't want to come to it, so we're just gonna say I was doing research, and I don't remember exactly how, like, I got here, but I was looking up various different, like, less common sexual orientations, and I came across, somehow, like, the gray sexualities, gray asexualities, and things like that, and it was just, like, reading the various definitions of these different kinds of sexual orientations, and I read the definition for demisexuality, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that is exactly how I feel about stuff. That is exactly how it works for me. I didn't know this was, like, I didn't realize, I guess, that that it didn't work that way for other people. Because, you know, you only know your own experience, really. Like, you can learn things about other people's experiences, but you don't know. So, like, I was just, it was, like, very shocking, and also, like, oh my gosh, there is a word for this, and also I didn't realize it was different for other people. I didn't realize that other people don't, like, I knew based on, like, movies and TV shows and stuff that people will sometimes just be like, oh, that person is hot, I want to have sex with them, I am sexually attracted to them. I just thought that was, like, a thing that happened in movies and TV shows. I didn't think that was a real thing that real people experienced, because I don't experience that. So I was just like, oh, so I'm the weird one. I'm the weird one because that is not how I experience things, and I didn't realize that the way I experience things, like, is a different sexual orientation. And I didn't, yeah. So, came across the definition of demisexuality and realized that is me, that is what I am. Hooray. It's nice. Like, I don't think labels matter that much, personally speaking. I think they matter if you want them to matter. And the only reason this one matters to me is because it, like, perfectly describes me, and I didn't realize there was a word that could describe that. And I did not realize that it was not how other people experience sexual attraction. So, the fact that I found that definition kind of by accident, and, like, it resonated with me so much, makes it matter to me a little bit more. I don't care if other people don't use labels, that's whatever. Like, use them if you want. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not gonna get mad at people if they don't. However, I will get annoyed if other people, I will get annoyed if using labels is something that ends up causing people grief in terms of, I can't think of the right way to describe what I'm trying to describe. Like, the reason I do think labels matter in terms of discrimination and things like that. If someone is going to discriminate against me based on my lived experience and based on, like, how I experience the labels I do use, like, I don't really care about labels very much. But if someone is going to discriminate me based on my labels, yeah, I don't know. So this has been a rambly, very incoherent way of trying to describe the fact that, like, maybe, I don't know how people feel about it nowadays, but labels matter to me. At least my own labels matter to me. And I don't necessarily, like, care if other people label themselves, but I do care if people discriminate against me for my own labels or discriminate against other people for the labels they choose to use. I also, like, told this story of coming out and, like, realize the fact that it took me time to find the right quote-unquote label and the fact that it took me time to, like, realize what my own queer identity was. A lot of it was, like, based on lack of information and lack of education. And the more educated I became, the more I realized I wasn't what I originally thought I was, because my original thought was based on a lack of information. A lack of information in multiple ways, because it was a lack of having the right label for myself, and also, like, a lack of understanding that there could be other things, and a lack of information about how other people experience things. So, multiple reasons. And, like, one of the things that I did say in the panel that I was at the other night with the queer student group on campus, one of the things that I did point out, because people, and I think this was, like, my way of kind of saying maybe there's more than just gay and straight, since so many people were just using gay and straight. I did say, so basically, like, you don't have to label yourself, but if you do, you don't have to necessarily stick with one label. Things can change over time, and not only that, but the more information you get and the more you learn about yourself, your label might change, and that is okay. Because that's how my life has gone. Like, I didn't know there could be anything else, and once I learned there could be, and learned more about what the other options were, and learned more about what makes it a different sexual orientation, the more I was like, yeah, my label has to change. Yeah. Again, I don't think it matters that much. I don't think labels are all that important. I think we should all just, like, we're all just people, right? And we don't have to put our, like, I know one of the reasons people don't like labels is because they don't want themselves to be put in a box, and they don't want to put other people in boxes, and I understand that. However, it can be important to make sure you are, like, not make sure, but it can be important. It is very important to be a part of a community that matters to you, and be a part of a community that you feel like you belong in. And, like, for a long time, for me, when I thought there was just gay and straight, I did not feel like I was a part of that community, even though I am queer and I feel like I should be able to be part of that community. And I still kind of feel like that, where I just don't know if I actually belong. The more I am, the more I get involved in like the Pride Network, which is the faculty and staff queer group on campus, the more I'm not sure that I actually belong there, because it feels like everyone there is just gay. Gay men and lesbian women. But I don't know that for sure because we don't talk about our orientations. We just know we're queer. So, yeah. And again, that is probably just me making assumptions, but it's things like one of the first time, like the first time I met one of the gay men, one of the first things he said was, "Oh my gosh, has everyone been watching Heated Rivalry?" I'm sure we're all super excited about that. And as someone who's on the asexual scale, like I can appreciate that it is important for queer representation, but also I have not watched Heated Rivalry, and I have no real interest in watching Heated Rivalry because I don't really want or need to watch something that is that sexual. It's just not my thing. The assumption that we should all care about that and all be really into it because we are presumably gay. Like, the assumption is that we're all gay. We're all gay men or lesbian women. Like, that assumption was a little frustrating to me, but I get it. I do think it is important. It just ain't my thing. But yeah, I have no good stopping point for this, and I feel like I've been going for a long time, and it's kind of been all over the place and rambly. Yeah, I don't know. Some things that are gonna. Yeah. I'm just still struggling with this idea of, do I need to get more involved and be more open about being ace? And is that gonna get me shunned from this community I was trying to be a part of? Which would suck, but also would not really change my life all that much. Would not be a shock. I think I. I think I'm mostly worried about it with like the older community group and not necessarily the campus group, but either of the campus groups, but like the older group that is a part of the larger community in the city I live in. Yeah, I think like that might be part of the problem, is that, yeah, trauma from my upbringing and, continuing trauma from being no contact with my parents. I really struggle with wanting older folks to approve of me. And that is a problem I have, and I know it's a problem and it's something I need to work on, but it is like a thing in the back of my mind of, well, if I get involved with this senior community of queer folks in my city and they don't approve of asexuality, or they think it doesn't count as being LGBTQ plus or whatever, then that would be a bigger blow to me because they are an older generation and I care for some reason. So, I don't know. But I should care more about the younger generations, and I should care more about being a role model to them, I suppose. Is that something I should be doing? Is that something I should figure out how to do? I still constantly feel like I am not enough of an adult to actually try and be an adult, but maybe that is something I should be doing more of. I don't know. That is. I think that is where I'm at right now, is like, I probably do need to be more open for younger generations and be more, yeah, accessible for the younger generations. we shall see. I think that's where I'm at, and I think I need to figure out how to do that. But yeah. Anyway, this has been Myri, and I have been rambling about my queer journey. Is that the right way to phrase that? I don't know. My journey of figuring out my queerness and how exactly it works and what it all means and whether or not labels matter to me. And yeah, they kind of do, but not that much. And that was just the sexuality side of my queer journey. I guess I'll have to do another recording sometime about the gender side of my queer journey because I am also queer in that way as well. I am non-binary, so that is a fun thing. But yeah, this recording is long enough, so we'll call that good. I will talk about the gender side of things in a different recording if that is something anyone would be interested in. Please let me know if you would be. I appreciate you listening, and I will chat at you again soon. Bye.